Morning, Matt. Hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep. Good morning.
Good morning. Sometimes I have to check my mic after that first class since they don't respond to me. They just sit there like this. Actually, most of the time.
Is it really that bad?
Oh yeah, it's pretty bad. It got a little bit better today because I forced them, but most of the time they sit there like this.
Yeah.
And I say, turn your cameras on.
Are we like polar opposite classes or something?
You guys are much more engaged, but not all of them. I have a few in there that I know it's like this is killing them. Like, why is it so annoying? So
yeah.
So, but they got better today. So, but mainly because I called on the people that never do anything. So I just don't understand. Like, I'm not trying to torture you. I'm trying to make you pass my class. That's my goal, right? That's my goal. Nobody wants to take this class again, right? Is there anyone out there that really does want to take it again? No, there's not. It's not a thing. Okay. Josh is here. Brady's here. How was your drive, Brady? You flew home, right?
Sucked. Yeah, I flew home. Slept for like 3 hours during the whole drive. Got to Minnesota, slept for 4 hours, got up at 4 a.m., caught a flight at 6, got here around 7:30, and now I'm here.
And you're ready for a nap right after class, yes?
Yeah, no, I have work after class.
Oh gosh, Brady, where do you work again?
I work at Mavericks in Scottsdale.
Okay. Yeah, I thought you told us before. So
yeah.
Crazy. Well, I hope you get some rest.
Me too.
Yes. Okay. I just want to make sure I mark everybody who's here. Okay. So it's T-shirt Tuesday. I don't have a new T-shirt. I have an old T-shirt, which is sad. I didn't even share my shirt with my last class. Yeah. I don't know why. I just got sidetracked. So whatever. I have to buy some new shirts. But I don't have any great ones. But I have this one. It's still fun. Do you remember this one? Yeah. I know. You're all big Grease fans, so you knew that reference right away. You want to watch it this afternoon. Thanks, Christina. Yep, I like it too. So it's an oldie but a goodie. I need some more shirts. What else? So anyone else have a shirt they want to share, or thank you? Or a, I know I need to go to Creekside Tacos. Don't tell me again, Tashina. Your family tortured you with Grease. You hate it now. Nope, not a thing. Just makes me love it more.
My mom did nothing but watch Grease, and it was horrible.
Well, it could have been worse. You could have watched Grease too.
Oh no, she used to watch the sequel too.
Yeah, because Grease 2 is definitely painful, right? Okay. So you guys, we gotta hang in there. We're almost done. I promise. And here's the good news. I can't remember the good news. No, I do remember. The good news is Thursday, we're talking about your final presentations. So this coming weekend, you can start work on your final presentations and you can be like, I just got to come to class every day. I'm going to have my final presentation all done. I am going to do amazing, right? Or you can be like, oh my gosh, I have no idea what I'm doing for my final presentation. Maybe I should talk to someone. So, and we'll get it handled. Your final presentation is not overly whelmingly challenging, right? So it's just, you find something you want to do. Let's get the math going and you'll be good. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. Okay. So no one had a shirt they wanted, and no hat today, just a hoodie, Matt? Really?
I ran out. Like,
Yeah.
mean,
I feel your
I
pain.
got
That's
done.
what my shirt is too.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Yeah.
I know some of you are dying for me to check your tests, and I'm almost through all the videos. So I'm hoping today. Yeah, I'm hoping. So some of you look very sleepy. There will be no sleeping in class today because I would like to be sleeping, but I'm not. Listen to this terrible story of what happened to my husband. He was supposed to have a training, yeah? And he was training with people on the East Coast. So the training started at 5:30 a.m. Arizona time, right? Because it was 8:30 a.m. on the East Coast. So he got up at like 4 some horrible time, which of course means I was up. And he went downstairs where his work computer is because he was doing it from here. And he logged in at 3 a.m. They sent an email that it was canceled, which would be 6 a.m. East Coast time, right? So thank you. No. Isn't that horrible? Yeah, so no training, and I was awake. And wait a minute, here's the best part of the story. He went back to bed for an hour. And I made breakfast. I made bacon, I made biscuits, I made eggs. Yeah. Once I'm up, I'm up. So that was our fun day. So Brady, I'm feeling that tiredness. Oh, here, look at this quote by Albert Einstein. Compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who doesn't pays it. Okay. We already talked about t-shirts. Hey, let's try this warm up. Okay, here's my warning for you. It's from PF4. Pay attention to which formula you're going to use. And it's going to be an extraordinarily high interest rate. Yes? So when you get your number, don't cry, don't freak out. So when you have your answer, just privately chat it to me. Okay? So it's Carlos takes his textbook to a pawn shop to borrow some money. That's hilarious. Who is going to pawn a textbook, right? I don't think that's a thing, but textbooks are very expensive. He gets $40. He has to pay back the $40 and a $20 fee in 3 months. So what interest rate is he being charged? So if you need the formula sheet, I'll put it in the chat for you right now. Let me find it. Okay. Then pick the right formula. It's from PF4, and then type to me your interest rate when you're done. Write it as a percent. It's going to seem crazy high, but you know those pawn shops. Great job, Tashina. Got my first answer and it's right. Yay. Keep working.
I'm so confused.
Woohoo, V got it right. Danessa got it right. Okay, is this the formula you're using? All right, so if that's the formula you're using, I want to go through this problem because I think, I don't know about you guys, but when you were doing this homework, were you like, oh, I'm close sometimes, but then I'm so far off and what's going on with this homework? So you have to be careful. So first we have to know which formula we need to pick. So it says he takes his textbook to a pawn shop to borrow his money. He's given $40. Then he has to pay back the $40 in addition to a $20 fee in 3 months. And the question is, what simple interest rate is he being charged? So we want to know R. R is what is missing because it's the rate. So if you look at your formula sheet, there's only one in PF4, right, that says R equals. And so it says this, R equals I divided by P times T. Okay. Everybody understand why that's the formula you want? Okay, now what is, we'll start off with an easy one. What is P? So P is the principal. What number is P in this formula? Somebody who didn't get it right or is still a little sketch should answer this question, because if this might be where your problem is. So if you're struggling, this is where you should participate. That would be a great idea.
Is the
Would
principal 40?
PB 60 or
Okay, so Lee said 60, I think it was Lee. I don't know. I think Lee said 60 and Josh said 40.
40, I think.
42.
And Ruki says 40. How many of you think it's 40? Anyone think it's 60? Okay, it is 40 because it says he's given $40. So that is our principal. Remember, principal is the amount you start with. So we have that. Now, we still have to find interest and time. So I don't care which one you give me, but somebody who's really not sure should tell me one of those.
Well, time would be 3 months.
Okay, I agree with you, Zach. Time would be 3 months, but in our formula, we always have to plug in years.
So just 1/4, right?
Okay,
Would
so
it be?
yeah, you can start 3/12, which simplifies to 1/4. You can even make it a decimal, which is 0.25. Everybody okay with that? Some people made that mistake, right? Some people just put in a 3, like for fun. They were like, oh yeah, it's a 3, I'm just gonna put in a 3. Don't do that. Okay, now what is the interest?
$20.
It's $20. You're right, Ruki. It's $20. How do you know it's $20?
It says addition to, yeah, it's interest.
Very nice. That in addition to a $20 fee. So he already had the $40. That's the principal. So he has to pay back the $40, which is the principal, but then he has to pay a $20 fee. That's the interest he's being charged. Okay. So now you're ready to plug it into the formula. You're going to do 20 divided by 40 times 0.25. And I'm going to write it like that. Now, some of you might have just had calculator button pushing issues, right? Tashina, I think, finally solved hers, right? She just said, I'm just going to the decimal calculator, right? I've had it. Like, these parentheses are driving me nuts. Okay, so Lily sent me what she got after she did it. How many of you got R equals 2? But we have to change it to a percent. How do we change a number to a percent?
You multiply by 100.
Very nice. So we multiply by 100. So holy cow, Carlos is being charged 200% as the interest rate. By the way, do you know they passed laws that you can't charge that high of an interest rate? So like those cash places or like the pawn shops and things like that. I think our state law says no more than 35% interest. I would have to look that up because it might have been changed, but I'm pretty sure it says 35%. So obviously, maybe this is not a reputable pawn shop, right? Maybe this is on the, he's pawning his textbook in an illegal pawn shop and getting charged 200%. I knew you'd like that. Okay, so.
Predatory lending.
Yes, exactly. Oh, predatory lending is horrible, right? So, and that's one of the reasons we need to be financially literate and knowing what's happening. Okay. So let's talk for a minute. Who struggled with PF4 homework last night? A couple of you. Some of you just didn't do it for fun. Is that what's happening? Because when I look at it, oops, sorry, it's flipping around. When I look at your homework, I'm like, oh, either it was hard or they just decided not to do it. So if it was hard, thanks, Judith, I agree. So what were you struggling with? Now, a couple of people sent me messages. I think V sent me a message and I responded back with a screenshot, maybe Tashina too. Did you send me a message too? Yeah, and I sent you a screenshot of my Desmos calculator because sometimes it's really just a calculator issue. What I noticed a lot of people were doing was they were rounding, you know, beforehand. And so we just had to fix their calculator issue. So I think the hardest part is figuring out which formula to use and setting it up, right? Okay, everybody has the formula sheet. Did I put it in the chat again today? Okay, so did I really put it in the chat today? Oh, there it is. Okay. Before we move on, I want you to try these two problems. Let's do the first one. first because this is PF4. And if you can't do PF4, yeah, so Lee just put in the chat something important because when they gave you these fractions, like sometimes they said 6 3/8, right? Or like 6 1/3. If they do 6 1/3, do you remember, did they really give you a 6 1/3 or did they give you, I thought they were terminating decimals. Were any of your decimals repeating decimals like that? Anyway, because you could put in, yeah, so I got like 6 3/4, 6 3/8, I think I had, you know, so if you have 6 3/8, let me show you.
There was a couple of those. There was a couple of those, and
Okay.
you just wanted us to work in the tens place, right?
Well, you don't want to round at all, right, until the very end. So, for example, if it was 6 3/4, well, 3/4 is 0.75, and you could find that on your calculator by doing 3 divided by 4. So that would be 6.75, and then I think it was a percent probably. And so then you'd say 0.0675%. Now, how would we do, I'm gonna look, Lee, I'm gonna look at yours. Because I want to see, so I see 7%, 2%, 6%, 6.49%. Well, that's a nice one. 6 7/8%, that's a terminating decimal, so that'll be fine. 5.59, that's an exact 6 1/4. 7 3/8, they're all terminating decimals. So none of them should have been like 6 1/3. Okay, because that won't terminate and that would be harder. But if it was like, Lee, I'm looking at yours right now. Like some of them said like 4.1% or 7.1%, but those are fine. Right, 6 1/4%, we could do 5.59%. You know, those should all be fine. So Lee, do you have a question on, because I don't see any that were non-terminating decimals. Like you had a 6 7/8%. Oh, this was a fun one. Enrique invests $19,000 at 6 7/8% for 983 days. Some people had weird ones like this. This was number 5. And so it said how much interest is earned. Well, interest equals principal times rate times time. So if we had 19,000 times 6 7/8%, what's 7 divided by 8 on your calculator?
0.875.
Very nice. So that's 6.875. So you would say 0.06875. And then time, how do I deal with that 983 days?
Divided by 365.
Very
I just
nice.
left it as is.
You have to change it to years. So that might be why you were getting them wrong, Lee. You cannot use days as time. You have to use, you have to make it a year. So 983 days divided by 365 days in a year. And then you have to put it like this. You can't round this part, right? You have to put it all in your calculator and let your calculator do it. Do you think maybe that's where you were making a mistake, Lee?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so good. I agree that some of that was hard in there, especially if you didn't realize where you were making your mistake, right? So you just kept doing it, and you're like, what is happening? So let's do a couple of these problems. These were the last 2 from yesterday that we didn't have a chance to do. So work it out right here. Think about what formula you need. So you'll need the formulas from PF4. So you invest $9,600 in a savings account that pays 3.6% simple interest. How long will it take for the investment to double in value? And it says round your answer to the nearest tenth of a year. So the first thing I want you to make sure you know is which formula you're using. Yeah. So pick your formula first if you're confused on which formula to use. I think it's easiest when it says, okay, what am I looking for? So in this problem, what am I looking for? Am I looking for the principal? Am I looking for the interest? Am I looking for the rate? Am I looking for the time? Am I looking for the amount? What am I looking for in this question?
Time.
Time. How do you know I'm looking for time?
How long?
Very nice.
Yeah.
So when it says how long, I know time is what is missing. Okay, so then I go to my formula sheet and I say, oh, I better use the formula for time. T equals A minus P over P times R. So now I better identify all these other things. I better figure out who can identify something real easy? Judith, give me any of those variables you can identify.
96,000 is the P.
It's 9,600, right? It's 9,600, and that's our P. I agree. Okay, anyone else? Give me another one. Lily, give me something else you can tell me. So now I need to either find A or R from the problem.
For R, it would be 3.6%.
I totally agree, 3.6%. If you change that to a decimal, Lily, what would it be?
0.036.
Perfect. Excellent. Okay, so now this is the hard one. I want everybody to answer this one. What is A in this problem? Think about it. Remember, A is the total amount, right? Including the principal and the interest. So think about what A is and get it ready in the chat. If you don't know, just guess. If you're wrong, I don't care. Okay, so read the problem through again. See if you can figure out what A is. I'll give you about 30 seconds. Get it ready in the chat, and then we'll all hit enter, even if we're wrong. Spoiler alert. Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. All right, so where did you guys get that number, 19,200?
Since it's asking for it doubled, I multiplied it by 2.
Excellent. So this was a tricky one, right? You have to read all those words real carefully because it doesn't tell you anywhere that amount, that 19,200. It just says how long till it doubles in value. So you had to do that 9,600 times 2 to get 19,200. Anyone have a question on that? Because I think that's the hardest part of the problem, right? Now you're going to put all of those into this formula. And be careful, it says round to the nearest tenth of a year. So you're going to say T equals 19,200 minus 9,600 divided by 9,600 times 0.036. Okay. And when you're done, you can privately message it to me in the chat. Okay. All right. So try that. Tashina, first one again, and it's correct. Good job. V coming in again. Good job. Rookie, perfect. Okay, this is just calculator button pushing. So push the button and then send me your answer. Great job, Danessa. Good job, Zach. Good job, Josh. Good job, Lily. All right, so some of you are getting a strange answer, and I'm guessing it's calculator button pushing. I'm going to try to do it on my regular calculator and get the same answer that you're getting. Okay, I know exactly what some of you are doing. If you're getting the answer 0.036, yeah? If you're getting that answer, this is what you're putting into your calculator, and it's confused. So you're putting in your calculator, I just don't have space to write. I wonder if I can just put some space in there. No, here, I know where I'll put it. Let's put it over here. So in your calculator, you're putting in parentheses 19,200 minus 9,600 end parentheses. Then you're putting in your division symbol 9,600 times 0.036. So what the calculator is doing is the calculator doing this part first, and then it's doing this. The calculator only follows order of operations, so it doesn't understand. Do you notice in my formula, I have parentheses around my denominator? This is the same problem Tashina and I were talking about yesterday, right? So it's very important. If you go back, anyone who got 0.036, go back and put those parentheses in and do it again, and you will get it right. Even if you got a different answer than that, go back and put in your parentheses and you'll get it right. Okay. So Matt, your answer is right. Well, your answer is almost right. Try it again on your calculator. I think you're having a rounding issue too.
Oh yeah.
If you're rounding, check your rounding again. Round to the nearest tenth, Lee. Oh, don't put a percent sign on there. It's years, Judith. Tashina, did you find your mistake? You had the right answer, and then I don't know how you just typed in. You typed in. Oh,
Oh,
you
I
typed in number
typed
2.
in.
No problem.
Okay.
Sorry, I
Okay.
wasn't looking. And by the way, your number 2 is right, so you're good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so Judith, your answer was correct without the percent sign. Okay, so don't change it. If we're rounding to the nearest tenth, it would be 27.8 years. There you go. Okay, anyone who has rounding issues, do you see where that came from now? All right, good. Okay, so and those of you that got 0.036, did you figure it out now? Okay, and for me, I'm going to make that mistake 17,000 times. Like, I'm not going to learn my lesson. I'm going to forget to put the parentheses in. So I just switched to the Desmos calculator. Okay, so that's what I did, because Desmos doesn't really let you screw it up. It's very nice. You don't even have to put the parentheses in Desmos. It's awesome. Okay, let's try number 2, or sorry, number 6 on here. Christina takes her car to a title loan business to borrow some money. She's given $1,000. She has to pay back the $1,000 plus $200 fee in 6 months. This is very similar to the warm up. So what interest rate is she being charged? Privately chat me that answer. V and Tashina already have it done. Good job.
Miss Clausen, my Casio, I don't have to worry about parentheses. I've tried it both ways and without it, and it's just like the Desmos. It'll figure it out for me. So this was a great gift I got.
Does it make it a fraction automatically?
Yes.
Yep. So that's what Desmos is doing. Good job. Lily, perfect. Good job. Josh, we were looking for a percent. I'm still waiting on answers from a lot of you. Rookie, good job. Love those glasses, girly. Okay, some of you didn't send me answers and it doesn't look like you're working. If you're still, I can tell if you're working, like I'm looking at you. If you're working, that's fine. Good job, Brady. Good job, Josh. Annie, great job. Great job, Zach. All right, so some of you are just struggling with putting the numbers in, is what I'm figuring out, right? You read it, I can see the frustration on your face. Like, it's not like you're not trying, you're trying, so I appreciate that. So let's read through it and make sure. So when we read this one, I told you it was like the first one. So when it says, what simple interest rate are you being charged? So we know we need to use the formula that says R equals I divided by P times T. Is everybody okay with that? They picked the right formula. Because that's step one, choosing the right formula. Anyone have questions on how I picked the formula? You okay? Okay, good. Now, I must need I and P and T. Those are the things I don't have. So what's I, what's P, and what's T? Matt, give me any one of those, either I, P, or T.
Would P be 1,000?
P would be 1,000. Yes, because that she was given $1,000. So that's what she started with. Good job, Matt. Now, who else is really didn't send me an answer yet? It's hard for me to remember who answered and who didn't answer. Danessa, what is either I or T? You can tell me either one.
Let me see. Is I 200?
Very nice. Oh, very nice. I is 200 because that's the fee she has to pay. Now, Judith, what is T in this problem?
It's 6/12, which is 0.5.
Very nice. That's perfect and great explanation. 6/12 or 0.5. So now the key is to put it in your calculator correctly. You want to do 200 divided by, and you just have to make sure it does that 1,000 times 0.5 before it divides by the 200, or it divides the 200. So when you put it in, you should finally get for an answer 40%.
I figured out my mistake.
Now. Yay, what did you do wrong, Lee?
I kept on swapping the 1,000 and 200.
Ah, there you go. And so that's the problem. If you put in the numbers in the wrong place, you're not going to get the right answer. So you have to be real careful. You did perfect. So you got 0.4. And then when you change it to a percent, you multiply it by 100. So you get 40%. Okay, I know I spent a long time on that, but if you can't do PF4, you certainly can't do PF5. Okay, so I wanted to make sure. I know it's hard. I know it's a lot of reading, but really take your time. And once you practice it, you get better at it, right? And once you figure out your calculator issues, you're way better at it. Okay. And if you're still having calculator issues, please switch to Desmos. I promise you it will help you. All right. there's my work, by the way. Now, this new lesson for today, by the way, if you're panicking because we've been going over yesterday all so far, today and tomorrow we're doing PF5, both, you know, the same lesson. So no worries, we have plenty of time. So PF5, you did your reading, you didn't do your mini lesson yet. Does anyone know the difference between compound interest and simple interest? Tashina.
Wait, what was your question? And I missed it.
What's
The
the difference
question
between
was,
compound and simple interest?
so simple interest is where your the amount in the for I remains the same over time. Compound interest is where it will increase the amount, and that's the best way to look at it is if you have $1,000 and you're getting and your interest is $50, let's say, the next month your interest rate will be your total amount would be $1,050 instead of just 1,000. So it actually compounds over time. So it's more and more. So it's good when you're saving and you're getting extra money. It's not good when you're having to pay out that interest because it's more expensive over time.
Exactly. So simple interest is just, let's say I put $1,000 in the bank and then at the end of the year, I have earned $100. Simple interest would say I take that $100 out, right? And then I just keep the 1,000 in there, which was my original. But compound interest says I leave that $100 extra in there, and now I'm earning interest on my interest. Okay, so that's compound interest. So you should earn more with your compounded interest than you do with your simple interest. And the more times it's compounded, the more money you will make. So if we look at the formulas, don't start crying. I know these formulas are not the best for a lot of people, but you're fine with them. So let's decode them. So A is still the amount in the account. That didn't change. We had an A in our simple interest. T is still time and it's still in years. So that's not new. P is still the principal. That's not new. R is still the rate. That's not new. The only thing that's new is this N number, which is the number of compounding periods in 1 year. So they could say it's compounded annually, which means once a year. You need to know this vocab though, right? If it says quarterly, there's 4 quarters in a dollar, so that means 4 times a year. If it says monthly, then N is 12 because there's 12 months in a year. And then if they say daily, it's going to say 365. Now, there's a word that they didn't tell you that's going to be in my example in a minute. What is semi-annually? How many times is that compounded in a year? Twice. So if they're having their semi-annual sale, it's held twice a year. That's what that means. Okay. So sometimes it's not even the math that's getting you stuck, it's the vocabulary that's getting you stuck, right? So that the only new piece is that N, okay, which is our number of compounding periods. Now we have 2 formulas. One says A equals, one says P equals. When do you think we're supposed to use the A one, and when do you think we're supposed to use the P one?
I would say P at the principal, and then A is after you've calculated.
Right, so it depends. Very nice, V. It depends on what they tell you, right? If you don't know the principal, you need to use the P equals formula, if that's what you're looking for. If you don't know the amount in the account after a certain period of time, that's the A formula. Okay, so it depends on what they give you, which formula you will use. Okay, so here's the first problem I'm going to give you. Okay, and Matt, I love that Matt put in the chat. Boy, I should probably write down these formulas every time. Absolutely. Writing down these formulas is very helpful, especially because if you don't write them down, I'm glad you have the formula sheet. That's awesome, but write them down on each problem, because if you don't, you'll forget it or you'll write it down wrong or something bad will happen. I just put this doc in the chat. Okay, this has these problems on it. It did have our warm up on it too. I don't think I put it in the chat before, did I? So sorry, but this is not the warm up. We already did the warm up together. This is number 1. So it says you deposit $300 in an account, earning 5% interest, compounded annually. How much will you have in the account in 10 years? So that's the question. Daily is 365, Tashina. So we know that this has to be compounded interest because it says compounded annually. So I'm going to use from the formula sheet one of the PF5 formulas. So which one should I use? Should I use the one that says A equals, or should I use the one that says P equals? Zevi said A, I could tell. How many of you think it's A? V agrees. How do you know which formula it is? Are some of you like, I don't know, I'm just gonna guess. How do I know it must be A that I'm looking for?
It says in 10 years it's total.
Yeah, so it's not asking me how much I have to put in right now. It's asking me for how much I have at a later time, which would be the amount. So I'm going to do P times 1 plus R over N raised to the N times T power. So I better know all of these things. I better find P, I better find R, I better find N, and I better find T. Okay? So someone who's a little confused or concerned or is just dying to understand this or to pass this class, wherever you're at, or just keeping themselves awake, right? Wherever you're at, tell me one of those letters. Tell me one of those, what the numbers are for this problem. You can tell me P or R or N or T. I don't care.
I think N is 2 because it's compounded annually.
How many of you agree that N is 2? No, what does compounded annually mean? How many times is that?
1.
Just 1. If it said semi-annually, that would be twice. So compounded annually means once a year. So N is 1. Does that make sense, Lee? All right, now somebody else tell me P or R or T. Any of those, I don't care.
Would R be the interest rate, 5%?
Very nice, 5%. And then Matt, can you change it to a decimal for me?
Yeah, 0.05.
Very nice. All right, anyone else give me P or T?
T is 10. The years.
T is 10 years, nice, because it's in years. And V just put in the chat that P is 300. Any questions on those? Because that's the hard part. Which formula do I need? And then am I able to identify these? And Matt, I think this is a great strategy. Write the formula and then write this little key over here. And that's going to really help me on the test so I can see, or even on anything you do. Like if you're sending me a question on more, tell me what you did. Like V did that on her question yesterday, and it was very easy for me to see where she was making a mistake, right? Like I could identify, I know it's the calculator, right? I know it's just the way she's putting it in her calculator that's doing it wrong. Okay, so now calculator button pushing time. You're gonna put all these things in here. And you're going to privately message me with the answer when you get it. So put it in your calculator. You can use Desmos. You can use whatever calculator you want. You just want to make sure you're putting it in correctly. Everybody know where their little exponent button is? Because this isn't an exponent, don't forget. Lily, you are correct. Tashina, you are correct. Annie, you are correct. Lee, you are correct. V, I know what's wrong in your calculator. I'm almost positive. I bet it's your exponent. Okay. I'm going to show you guys on Desmos how to do it, but some of you are, some of you are just putting in the wrong value. Like you're putting in 0.5 instead of 0.05. So make sure. There you go. Zach, much better. And Vanessa, much better. Sometimes I have to mess with my calculator and see what you guys are doing. Okay, so you did, I know exactly what you did to get your answer, and someone else got that same answer as well. Yeah, so those of you that are getting 3,150, this is what you're doing. You're doing 300 times 1 plus 0.05 divided by 1, and then you're just doing times 10. So that's not what the formula is saying. The formula is saying now you need an exponent. Sometimes it's a button that looks like this, like a caret symbol on your calculator. And then you could put a 10 here or 1 times 10. So Ruki, are you using Desmos or what kind of calculator are you using? Desmos. Okay, so let me go to Desmos so then we can see it. 300 parentheses. What do we have? 1 plus 0.05 divided by 1. And then you have to arrow over and end those parentheses. That might be part of the problem. And then Ruki, here's the button you want. The one that says A to the B power. Do you see that one? It's right next to the a squared button. So you want a to the b power, and then you can do parentheses 1 times 10. Oops. And then you should get $488.67. Did you figure that out on your calculator?
Yeah, I just realized that that's what I needed to do.
Yeah, it's your exponent button. Okay, so do you see how a lot of this is just how do I use my calculator right? Yeah, the formula is there. How do I use my calculator right? So, and hopefully when you get a weird number, you should know that's not reasonable. So you might not know, which is why we're practicing this financial literacy. If you only put $300 in, there's no way you should have a whole lot more than that. Think simple interest. This will make it easier for you. If you did simple interest, right, you would just do I equals PRT. So you would do 300 times 0.05 times 10. And if you do that, you get $150. So in your account, after 10 years at simple interest, you would have $450. But since we did compound interest, we're going to get more, but not a ridiculous amount more, right? So just $488.67. When you get an answer that says 17,000, when you only put $300 in, something's wrong, right? Like that's not a reasonable answer. So also check into your reasonableness, okay? Okay, so you have on that worksheet that I gave you, you now have, we did number 1, you can for sure do number 2. Try number 2 now that you know all these buttons to push. This is our semi-annually, so your end's gonna be 2, and chat me that answer privately. And work on your rounding skills. Some of you, that's where your downfall will come. Especially on more, you will get so frustrated on more.
Wait, so just put the same numbers back in the same formula, just the end is 2 now?
No, new numbers. We're on number 2.
Oh.
So sorry, we're on this one right here.
I see.
You deposit $2,100 in an account earning 2.5% interest compounded semi-annually. How much will you have in the account in 7 years? V, Tashina, Ruki, Danessa, Lee, all correct. if I've already checked yours, you can keep working on the next problems because that's all we're going to do for the next part. So you can work on the next problems on your own. Zevi, good job. Good job, Annie. All right. So some of you are moving on, and that's totally fine. No worries. Let me show you what you should have gotten on number 2. And some of you, again, are just having rounding errors. So you should write down, you know, P is 2100, R is 2.5, which changes to 0.025. N is 2 because it's semi-annually, right? And then T is 7. So if you write all that down, it's very helpful. P equals 2100, R equals 0.025, N equals 2, and T equals 7. And remember the formula you're using, and I highly recommend you write down the formula every single time. P times 1 plus R divided by N to the N times T power. So it's just like the one we had before, just new information, right? Same formula, just new info. And then you can see how you replace it all. And then some of you, if I put this in my calculator, some of you are just really having rounding issues. So let's go back and say, okay, 2100. Oops. Sorry, I lost my numbers where I was. Parentheses 1 plus 0.025 divided by, why am I dividing by 2 right there? Who knows why I divided by 2
Semi-annual.
right there? Semi-annual. Very nice, Ruki, because it's semi-annually. So, and then you get this 2498.9049. Now, rounding rules say if the number after the one I'm rounding to, which in this case is 0, if the number after it is 5 or higher, I'm going to round up. But it's not 5 or higher, so I'm going to leave it alone. So it will be $2,498.90. Questions on that? V, that was right, by the way. Okay, so I'm going to stop right there. Now you have a worksheet with a lot more problems on it, right? It goes up to like number 7. My slides have the question and then the answer, the question and then the answer, the question and then the answer. So I would highly recommend you do these to make sure you really understand PF5, because we're going to do it again tomorrow, right? And then check my slides for the answers. Let's go. So you can see on every single one, I have the question and then the answer. So here's what's due tonight. You have your PF5 more mini lesson. It's only 8 points. It should not take you long. It should be a breeze. You could start your PF5 more practice. It's not due till tomorrow because you know a lot of it already, right? You can at least get it started so you don't have to do it all tomorrow. The reading quiz for PF6 is due Wednesday. More mini lesson for PF6 is due Thursday, and more practice is due Friday. So I put it all up there so you could get it, get a jump start on those ideas, okay? Those assignments, so you're not too overwhelmed on days where you're busier. Okay, I'm going to put the exit ticket in the chat. Make sure on your exit ticket you put a $sign and a decimal point and 2 decimal places. Otherwise, just like more, it will mark you wrong. Tashina, I'll check those in just one sec. Perfect, they're both right, Tashina. Good job. Okay, otherwise, good job today. Some of you are noticing where your flaw is. Maybe it's just changing a calculator that will make your life so much easier. Maybe it's writing down the formula every time. Maybe it is writing down that key of each thing every time. Or maybe you have to do all those things. Maybe you have to write the formula, write the key down, right, and change your calculator. Yeah, all of those things. It makes a huge difference because it feels way better to get it right the first time on more than getting it wrong 17 times. And if you're not using a piece of paper and a pencil to write it down, I don't know how you're ever gonna get it done, right? By the way, this exit ticket is PF4, just so you know, so don't think it's PF5 because it's just simple interest. I saw some looks on your faces. So it's simple interest on this exit ticket, okay? Good job, Zach. Vanessa, that's a little high. You should look at that again. You can change it too. You can resubmit it. If you want to, I don't care. I'm just saying. Oh, don't forget, I have office hours tonight, 7:30 to 8:30, right? I changed them from tomorrow night to tonight. So if you want help, come and see me. I'll be waiting for you. Otherwise, have a great day and I'll see you tomorrow. Good hard work today.
Goodbye.
Bye. Hang in there, Matt.
Yep, I got the exit ticket right, so that's good, I guess.
Yay! That's awesome.
Yep.
Have
All
a
right,
good day. Thank you.
Bye, V.
Have a good day.
Good job, Danessa. Good job, Brady.